Alrighty, people.
Come on, baby.
Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you. Thanks for being here on a Sunday night. We're excited to hang out with you here, talk some Dynasty football. It is
Absolutely.
starting to get into that weird middle phase of the season where, Dynasty rookie hype, has come to an all-time low because we've been in the midst of that. And now we're all
Correct.
looking towards the season, but we're not quite there just yet. It's kind of this middle part. But this is one of the parts where you can do the most damage in a Dynasty team, and one of the parts where you can, build your team in the best way as well, as long as you're doing it the right way. But we're here trying to help some people improve their Dynasty teams. Do us a favor, go ahead and hit that like button as you start today's stream. Casey's here. What's up, Casey? He says 88 days and 24 minutes until kickoff. 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Daniel Macy. Casey's coming for his job.
Honestly, Casey is coming for his job. You love to see it. I cannot wait for the football season. I always say this. Once my birthday is here, it's like 3 weeks until we have preseason. My birthday is July 7th. And I always just break it down, the off season into that. We have the NFL draft. Then we have the lead up to all of our rookie drafts, which goes for weeks, which is amazing. And then there's about this 4-week gap every single time, I guess another month until my birthday. And then after that's another 3 weeks, and then it's preseason. I know we don't get excited for preseason whatsoever. We get hyped up for preseason and we say, I cannot wait to watch football. And then we be like, oh shit, it's preseason.
Yeah, we get excited for preseason, and then we're like, why were we excited about this?
Can we just get to the real thing?
But I think this year might be different because there are so many high-profile rookies that we can look at in preseason action.
No question.
And ultimately, there will be one of them that's probably injured, or there's a report that comes out, of something weird happening at camp, and then we're like, how do we digest that? But we appreciate y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us. What's up, Shane? What's up, Jason and Mohammed? They have some questions. Unfortunately, today's not a Q&A. We might have time at the end for a Q&A. We do appreciate y'all being with us, but the whole point of today's stream is to really give back to the people who are supporting us on the Flock Fantasy website. Of course, people who have already had a team review, they've got a DM to us where they can ask questions, but that's the whole point of tonight's stream, just to give back to those people. But we'll try our best, I promise you, to leave some time at the end for some questions. Hopefully, you can get where we're coming from there. Casey says, just a fellow Delta member. I can't handle the D Macy responsibility. What's up, TV? Appreciate you, Mohammed. We appreciate everybody who is here joining us. But we are about to get into these team reviews. If you want your team reviewed by us on a live stream, it's very simple. All you got to do is become a Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. I just put a direct link in the chat. It's also in the description. And if you're watching this later on, it is in the pinned comment. But obviously, you guys know what our website looks like at the moment. You got our rankings, you got our articles, our databases, our trade calculator, and obviously my teams has been added recently in the last couple months. When you sign up, you can sync your teams. You can see where you stand in the community's rankings, which is pretty cool. You can see that here. But you can also choose, like, my rankings, for example, if you want to see where you stand. But Aki, we need to get your rankings.
I was actually working on my rankings all this weekend. Okay. I have tight ends left, and they will be up by the end of today, our time. So tomorrow morning for you.
So tomorrow morning, you'll be able to see both myself and Badaki's rankings. You can choose expert consensus, community. You can choose any other great creators that we have over here. And the great news is, if you're using our code, you can choose whatever team you want to submit to us. Click submit for review, and the rest is history. Now, you will automatically receive a team voucher if you're on a yearly membership. If you're on a monthly, hit us up, and we'll tell you how you can get that done here on the website. But we appreciate y'all big time. We did get a super chat, so why don't we start the stream off with the super chat? We're not doing a Q&A, but if someone's going to donate $10, we're definitely going to take a second and just look at the question.
No question. Thank you so much, Dylan, for that super chat all the way from Canada. 12-team Superflex startup league, faded quarterbacks. So my first 4 picks were Lamar, Kyler, Daniels, Purdy. It's phenomenal. Made 4 trades, sold my 7, 8, 6 round picks for 10, 13, 19, 325 first, and the 26 second. Is that a perfect start? It sounds like it could be a potential phenomenal start with 3 first round picks in the future. I think it just depends on the rest of the context of your team. If you know that you're not going to be competing, I would say why not. But at the same time, I always say, around 7, 8, 9 are still some good players there. So I guess it depends on who you gave up, which we don't know as well. But I
Yeah.
think the value that you got in return there, um, with the 3 first round, 25 first, is more than I would say those players that you probably got 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, and 19. So,
7, 8, 9
um,
is that range where you can hit on players who haven't solidified themselves in the NFL just yet, and they
no
can
question.
grow in value. They can become more valuable this time next year. Some of the rookies in this class. It's also a
Amon Ra was
place.
going in the 7th round in the rookie draft, like his rookie season. Sorry to interrupt,
I
brother.
think after his rookie season, yes.
Yeah,
Before he
after his rookie
wasn't because
season.
he's a
Sorry.
fourth round pick. But
Yeah.
that is the area of the draft where you can hit on some rookies who haven't established themselves yet. It is kind of risk reward, so you can burn a pick, you can make a great pick. It's also the area where you've got a lot of veterans that will produce, but they're on a short timeline. So it's hard to say because we don't know who those picks ended up being, but I think it's very good value for you to have gotten 3 first-round picks on top of it. So I think you did really, really well. Oftentimes, leagues like this, they are leagues with people who are relatively new to Dynasty, so they don't understand the importance of a quarterback in a Superflex league. So I think you'll have an opportunity to even trade some of those names and just kind of dominate your league from the get-go. So really well done. Great job.
Yeah. Appreciate that super chat, man. Thank you so much.
So the first team that we're reviewing today is half chicken, half steak. Ryan Gardner. So big
Appreciate
shout out
you.
to Ryan Gardner here. We are reviewing your squad, my friend. And why don't you have a look at the details for us and let's get this thing going.
Yeah. Not too much context here. He says, "Hey guys, would love for a review on this team. In addition, half PPR. We also have half points per reception, rushing first downs, and 2 points or 0.2 per passing touchdowns." Okay, so not too much here. So let's just have a look at this team and maybe what he is going to be needing to do. Half chicken, half steak is the team name.
Half chicken,
As
half
this is-
steak. In the community rankings, you're ranked number 1 overall, which is cool to
Yeah.
see. But it seems pretty well balanced across the board. I mean, you got 4 really good teams. You got 3 kind of, I would say, pretenders. Actually,
Yeah.
4 or 5 pretenders, and then one team that's just not pulling their weight. It is a 10-man. I'm gonna pull up my rankings. I don't know if you want to do that as well on your end, so we're on the same page. Just because I think I'm not hyping myself up. I just think they're better than the community rankings at this point. Doesn't mean that they're bad. But let's have a look. So in my rankings, you're actually ranked 2nd in the league, 2nd overall. Walk us through this team though.
Yeah. Let's have a look here at the quarterback position. Joe Burr, Bo Nix, Will Levis, and the list goes on there. I think there could be excitement. I think there is excitement here around Bo Nix, specifically around Will Levis as well. In my eyes, I think he can have a phenomenal year. He may not be, top 5 or anything, but I think he can easily finish potentially as a top 12, maybe even top 15 quarterback, which will definitely have a new conversation at the end of 2025.
Sorry, was that Levis or Nix you were talking about?
Will Levis.
I kind of agree with you. He's a fun wild card. I would say quarterback 25 is probably too low when I look at my ranking of him. But, considering he's not a first-round pick, considering a lot of the things that we were concerned about in college showed up in his rookie year. I'm not saying he won't improve on them. There is still reason to be concerned. I mean,
no question.
The other side of this is like, okay, what if there's no excuse is what I'm trying to say. Like, if you don't go out there and like do it this year,
I would say
there's no excuse because the weapons are there. Like, this team is ready to go to the playoffs.
There's more good things weighing on the side of Will Levis than the bad. That's what I would say. From a what's around him standpoint, right? Like, he as an individual needs to improve on his feel, right? I think he
could be in a better situation to improve.
Yeah, but all the weapons, the offensive line, a new head coach, the offensive coordinator, that's all there for him. So it's exciting here in this quarterback room. At the running back room, Breece Hall, Devon Achane, Najee Harris, Tajay Spears, Raheem the Dream, the list goes on there. I think this is a great running back room, especially with some win now assets and Raheem Mostert, and potentially even Tajay Spears, whatever that looks like. Once again, you think of this Will Levis offense, And Tajay Spears is part of that. Now, hey, that's going to be a 50-50 backfield. So we'll wait and see what that looks like. So I love these running backs so far. At the wide receiver position, this is a start 11. So I'm assuming he can start up to
start 11. That's good considering it's a 10-man. You don't want a small league and a small starting lineup. So let me work this out in my head as you go through it.
Yeah, at the wide receiver position, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Malik Neighbors, Brandon Ayuk, Drake London, Brian Thomas Jr., Josh Downs, Deontay Johnson, Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, and the list goes on there. If I'm not mistaken, I'm assuming this is a start 5.
So this is either you can start 6 wide receivers. I just don't know if it's 3 wide receivers starting and 4 flex or 3 wide receivers and 3 flex, but it's one of those combinations.
So your starting lineup currently at the wide receiver position, and we always say this, and it's half PPR, so it doesn't necessarily matter, but in full PPR, we would always say, we would prefer those wide receivers in the flex position. 6 wide receivers, so Amon-Ra, Malik, Ayuk, Drake London, Brian Thomas Jr., and then I would say Deontay Johnson would be your next best starting wide receiver there with those high upside guys and Polk and the guys in New England and Josh Downs, if actually not high upside in our eyes, but maybe somebody you can trade away.
You have 4 that we feel fantastic about, those top 4. Brian Thomas, I think he's going to be great, but he is a wild card still. We have to recognize that. Deontay Johnson's in my opinion, he's definitely going to produce. I know we see that differently. I think he's their clear number 1. That's 6 names there. So you're right. It's a good room here, and you still have your Najees, your Mosterts, your Tajays that you can flex out. So really well built. And then at tight end, Jake Ferguson. He has his picks in each of the next drafts, which is great. So he still has all of his first round picks. This team is pretty well set to kind of wait and see what happens in season. Joe Burrow is not someone I would personally be selling right now. I think he comes back and has a great bounce back year. Bo Nix and Will Levis, 2 kind of wild cards at this point. But both could be, guys that aren't worth much after this year, or guys that have drastically improved their value. I think Bo Nix has a longer leash than a Will Levis, but Levis has a better, kind of supporting cast at this point. I don't know that there's a clear, obvious sell. I think you're trying to compete with this team, to be honest. I think between Darnold, Levis, and Nix, that will figure out your quarterback too. But a starting lineup of, let's just say, Burrow and Darnold, or Burrow and Levis to start. Then you've got Breece and Achane. That's fantastic. Then Amon-Ra, Malik, London, Ayuk, Deontay. And then we can decide between Brian Thomas, Najee, Tajay Spears, etc. for our flex, Jake Ferguson. That's a team that you're definitely fielding and expecting to compete right here, right now. Maybe we should look at some of his competitors.
Yeah, I mean, the next guy here, at least according to the community rankings, CJ Stroud, his QB2 is in question, just like his. Isaiah Pacheco, Javonte Williams, right? So the running back room is not as strong. The wide receiver room is where he kind of has the edge, but there's still a lot of question marks. I think your depth is better potentially here.
His depth, he definitely has a better running back room. It's kind of like you guys have strengths and weaknesses in different areas. He's got a better tight end room. You've got a better running back room. Your wide receiver rooms are both pretty great, but you're right, the depth is better. This is a true toss-up between those names.
It definitely is here.
Looking at Pepe Silva as well. Another team that's close to you, Lad Enterprises. He's got Allen Mahomes, so he's going to be in the playoffs. But he has a lot of age showing. A lot of players that we don't know what their future looks like. Cooper Kupp, Aaron Jones. And then there's not much depth. He's betting on Adonai being a guy. I don't know if that happens straight away. He has literally no tight end of note to start. So I think he's in a very good position to go out and compete. There's definitely, I'll say this, I definitely think he's making the playoffs.
Yeah, I think he makes the playoffs as well. I think it's going to come down to whose quarterback 2 is going to take off, right? If you're telling me that the wide receivers for Sexton, your mom team, is your main competitor, it's all about the quarterback. Is it going to be Drake May that's going to take off, or Bryce Young, or is it for you? Is it going to be Bo Nix or Will Levis? I think you have the edge on running backs. I think the wide receivers are pretty even though in the community, for your mom's team, he's ranked 1 and you're ranked 3rd, and he has the edge on tight end. But I think he would potentially have the edge at the running back position, which is pretty phenomenal. So I think he definitely competes in this team, no doubt.
Yeah, you're definitely competing. The moves that you should make, I really can't think of a move to make right now. I want to keep that running back room kind of what it is. I wouldn't mind moving away from like a Tajay on this team. Not Tajay, sorry, Najee is what I meant to say. Players you can consider moving. I'd say in season. I don't think there's an obvious move to make right now with this team unless you see it differently. But Najee Harris is one of those names. You have the depth to kind of move on from him, in my opinion, with Breece Hall, Achane, Tajay, and Mostert there. I mean, that's 4. You only need to start 2. And Najee, as we know, keep in mind, they declined his 5th-year option. So we don't know what his future holds. We don't know if another team is going to be as forgiving, maybe the word, as the Steelers are with his just lack of overall excitement and efficiency at the position. So we don't really know exactly what the future holds for him. But I would say in season, I would be like trying to aim for a mid-second for a Najee Harris, because I think you can afford to move on from him. I'd rather see what that second-round pick is going to yield you instead of waiting on Najee, who's just getting older, doesn't have a 5th-year option. You know, it's just not that exciting, especially considering, and I know we could be overblowing it, but next year's class looks very good. So a lot of teams, instead of paying Najee Harris, probably just draft a running back instead. Josh Downs is a name that I'd actually be willing to sell right now. I wonder what the Flock fantasy community sees Josh Downs as. Let's have a look here. I'm curious. Let's see. So they have him as wide receiver 43. I feel very confident that that's a sell for me. And that might sound crazy. Some people are like, wide receiver 43? Like, what's your problem? But here's the thing. Here's the wide receivers around that price range. Amari Cooper is wide receiver 40. Deontay Johnson, you already have Deontay, but Deebo Samuel is 38. Terry's 37. Kirk is 36. Jameson is 41. I would rather see what Jameson Williams does this year personally. You've got other names, let's see, like David Montgomery, running back equivalent. Derrick Henry, Tajay Spears. I'd much rather have Chris Godwin. Mike Evans, so we can go out and try and compete. Rashee Rice, I'd rather take that risk. Ricky Pearsall, who's, we have to wait on, but I feel better about waiting on him and seeing what he could be next year if one of those guys get traded, rather than betting on a Josh Downs. So, I mean, Adonai Mitchell is less expensive in our community. Like, I would rather have the prototype of an Adonai. Hollywood Brown, what could he be in Kansas City? I'd rather. So, I would say options we talked about on stream. Do you have any other names you'd add to that list, or do you disagree? I feel like we're on the same page typically with Josh.
No,
Downs.
when it comes to Josh Downs, I completely agree there.
Okay.
I would say that that's about it. I'm happy to keep everyone else. I'm not sure if there's even more pivot options here or other pivot options. I think my biggest concern, not even concern, but I guess my greediness, especially in a 10-man league, I think your tight end is weak in a 10-man league.
That's fair.
And Jake Ferguson, I'm looking at it in Njoku. I'm looking at somebody, even if it's older, Travis Kelce.
I don't think Njoku is like the tier up. I agree we want to tier up, but Njoku doesn't feel like he's going to make a big difference between Jake Ferguson. In fact, I might prefer Jake Ferguson over Njoku.
Maybe. Evan Ingram, I'm thinking about.
Ingram's a great one.
That's kind of where I'm looking at. I just feel maybe you can. I don't know how much the prices would be, but like a Travis Kelce or George Kittle, even if it's older players, I might be interested in.
I was going to say Mark Andrews is a fantastic buy right now as well. He's he's going to be up there competing for the number one tight end in fantasy this year. I have no doubt in my mind. But people are scared about him because of that injury. But I still think he's going to be one of the higher volume tight ends in the league. So I would say, like, what if you could send, like, would you do like Jake Ferguson plus Josh Downs plus a second in a future year? Try that for Andrews and see if that gets you even in the building. You know, keeping in mind that every deal we say here is not going to get done. We just want to get you in the building and see what's possible. But, you know, he might say, look, I'm not a big Downs guy. I want Polk. Okay, let's do it. We like Jalen Polk, but let's do it in a 10-man to kind of get that upgrade.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Just trying to get you that edge as much as possible here, because the team that you're competing with has a top 3 tight end. If you can get at least to the top 5 or top 6, I think that gives you a better chance of competing here against some of these top teams. So
yeah,
I would agree.
That's definitely the move. You don't have to force it right now, but I would definitely try it. What are some I'm curious, like, some teams. Does anyone have like double tight end? I wonder.
Yeah, double D Cups. He has 3: Trey McBride, Travis Kelce, George Kittle.
I think this team, you could even like just send a second for Kelce. Right?
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I think the Mark Andrews owner might not want to trade him away because he has TJ Hawkinson in the future.
Oh, does he already have TJ Hawkinson, the Mark Andrews owner?
Yeah.
Well, that's perfect.
I would say if people are like me, then I think they would be hesitant on selling Mark Andrews because of the unknowns of TJ Hawkinson. But I don't know.
I don't know that this guy. Yeah, I feel like that's the perfect team. That's exactly what we're looking for. A guy who has 2 tight ends inside the top 10 in rankings. A guy that, if you look at his team, doesn't look like with McCarthy, Stafford. He just feels like someone that probably looks at his team as like, I could make some moves here. That feels like the perfect fit. You can't get a Laporta. He's too pricey right now. Kyle Pitts. I don't mind going and getting Kyle Pitts. Let's put this. I would do this same deal for a Kyle Pitts that I talked about for Andrews. But outside of that, I mean, we can't really advise you to tier up at quarterback right now or to sell, because these 2 names are very much limbo. They're not great trade names right now, Nix and Levis.
No, not at all.
We don't want to move your wide receivers, and you don't have an abundance of draft picks, so we need to be relatively careful. We can't just tell you, okay, go spend these first-round picks because you're definitely going to win. Like, no, that's not how it works typically. So
I agree.
Yeah,
I think this is good.
Again, we said this a little bit earlier. These trades, we're not telling you they're all going to get done. We're trying to give people ideas and inspiration on certain names and certain structures. But we say this all the time on our stream. Your initial offer, over 90% of the time, is not the offer that's finished when the trade is completed. And 90% of the time, a trade doesn't even get completed. But it's all about sending that first offer and seeing where you can go. So we're all on the same page there. But overall, what would you grade this team? Let's say you had 0 to 100. How would you grade this team?
I think this team is pretty decent. I would give it around like the 80, 85 plus range. That's what I would say. I think this is like a B plus type of team.
B plus is a fair grade. Yeah, I'd put you right in that like high 70s, low 80s range for sure. Because you've got a lot of really good foundations. It's just that quarterback 2 and that tight end spot. I mean, you're a tight end away from being an A team, I'd say, on a school letter grade system. So really well done. What I would say is if you have yet to set up your fantasy hotline, please DM us on Discord. And guys, if you're signing up, make sure you are linking your Discord through the website. That way you unlock the entire Discord channel as well. Don't miss out on all that your membership has to offer. We're about to go to the next team, but Adam said, how do I submit my team? Very simple, guys. Very simple. All you got to do is become a Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. I'll put a direct link in the chat for you there. But when you sign up, if you become a yearly member, you'll automatically be able to submit your team. If you're a monthly member, you just got to DM us in order for you to submit your team through the website. So sent you a link there in the chat. Let us know if you have any questions. But of course, when you sign up, you get a team review from us, but you also just get the functionality of the My Teams feature anyway. Like, you can sync any team, you can change what sort of, rankings you want to see. If you want to see myself, if you want to see community expert consensus, and we think it's only getting better. We already are very proud of what we're able to offer, but you get the My Teams feature, the trade calculator, all the databases, the articles, our rankings, and of course you unlock our Discord as well. So just put a direct link in the chat for you. Check that out if you like. Do us a favor, if you're watching the stream though, go ahead and hit that like button. We got a like goal today of 50. There's 50 people watching. I think we can get there with your help. So go ahead and smash that like button to show some love. But we are going to move on to the next team. Big shout out to Ryan. Ryan, if you're watching this later, feel free to DM us if you end up having any questions.
Appreciate you there, Ryan.
About
Thank
anything.
you so much.
Maybe there's something that we missed that you didn't want us to talk, that you wanted us to talk about and we weren't able to. Feel free to hit us up over in the Discord. All right, next team today is Bijan Mustardson.
Bijan Mustardson, thank you so much for supporting. And I'll go ahead into this details here. He said, big draft coming up, has all these picks. It's 10-man start, 2 quarterbacks, and this is the starting lineup. 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex. Okay. He said drop/trade 4 players before the draft. Who to drop/trade? Okay. Need a kicker. Says too many picks. I need to drop more players, more picks, consolidate. Like to tier up at wide receiver and quarterback. One guy has picked 3 and 5. Neighbors going at 3, and he wants wide receivers. He wants wide receivers and quarterback. What do I do with my picks? Marvin Harrison Jr., then quarterback, or quarterback and quarterback? Trade for some players. Trade up. And then which pick and who to target. League might add wide receiver or flex spot. Hard to trade overall.
Okay, so first thing I would say is this is a small lineup. 1, 2. So this is 6, 7, 8. This is a start 8 in a super flex league. A start 8 in a super flex, that is like mega small.
Dude, and potentially going to 9, potentially.
And 9 is like, okay, that's probably more average. But think about it. If this is a 1 quarterback, we're talking about a start 7. Like that is so tiny. You can start 3 wide receivers, for example. So that is something that we should absolutely consider as we're talking through this league. I wonder if you've already had your draft or not.
No, he has not.
Okay,
if you look at the team here, Bijan Mustardson ranks 2nd. I'm assuming because of all of the draft picks that he does have. But before we get to that, to the draft picks here, let's look at who he has on the team. Not too much. I'll go through quickly. Brock Purdy, Will Levis. He has Bijan and Brees, which is phenomenal. Your running back foundation is great. At the wide receiver position, Tank Dell, Christian Watson. And that's really, we're excited about everyone else and their upside and their pathway. But those are the 2 guys I would say you currently have that we're comfortable starting. And then Pat Frymuth.
So
at tight end.
Most of his value might be held in draft picks, but his team is set up perfectly for this draft. This is not a draft where you expect to get a top 5 dynasty running back, right? Well, you've already got Bijan and Brees Hall. And you need help at wide receiver. This is one of the best wide receiver classes we've ever seen. So you're actually in a fantastic spot, I'd say. You have your first in future classes. There's no note of additional first, so I think it's just yours, which is still great. This is great because now we get to look at this team. You know what I should do real quick is I should DM this to the previous team. I want to make sure they get this. I forgot to send it to them. Hold on. Sorry, guys. That's my bad. Back to my reviews. Completed. What was the name of the one that we just did? Half chicken, half steak, wasn't it? Yeah.
Half chicken, half a steak.
Let's send that over to him. Just want to make sure he gets that before we... Okay, great. My bad, gang. My bad.
Oh, Gucci.
Okay. This is fun because we did a lot of this in the off season.
Yeah, and now we can finally do another one
again. Yeah,
because a lot of people have done their drafts already, which is great, but also sad because we like to predict what happens.
Yeah, it's always fun to be like, oh, that's what you did with your picks. You know, that was good or it wasn't, but it's not as fun as like helping you do it.
Yeah, exactly here. Okay, plenty of picks here. 101, 104, 108.
202, 203, 204, 205.
Phenomenal range
210. He did ask who he should drop, so should we start there? Let's give him drop candidates maybe.
I see Greg Dulcich. That'll be okay to drop.
Ooh, I like Greg though. I don't want to drop him.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure if there's anyone that I'm excited to drop on this team.
This is a tough drop. Yeah.
Because I feel like everyone here. Let's start off with the running back, Roscoe, Tank, Khalil. One of these guys goes down. You know, Swift goes down. Is it Roscoe or Khalil? You want to keep both of them. Travis Etienne misses a couple games. Maybe Tank Bigsby has a better second-year opportunity. Who knows? At the wide receiver position, I'm keeping Quinton, Wandale, Jamario Douglas, Dontavion Wicks, Marvin Mims, Romeo Dubs, Jahan. I mean, you want to keep all those guys. That's why I said if I am dropping somebody, it's probably Greg Dortch. But it's not something that I am.
Do you see Greg Dortch? I don't see Greg Dortch on this team. Am I missing him?
Greg Dortch, Dulcich. Sorry.
Oh, Greg Dulcich. Right.
Greg Dulcich.
Look, so we have to think about this a little bit differently, though. Okay, because you and I often think from the perspective of 12-man start 10, right? This is a 10-man start 8. So
sure,
a guy like Dulcich, you're right. That's a drop candidate. If he has to drop other names, I think I would drop Wandale at this point if I needed to. I would even be comfortable dropping Kate Otten if I needed to, because again, like the waiver wire is going to have names like Kate Otten available. It's going to have names like Wandale Robinson available in this small of a league. I definitely agree, Greg. Now with like the hindsight, do you disagree with any of that? I mean, I know you love Wandale. I know you're a Giants fan.
I don't think it's necessarily a.
He's going to be in a position where he has to drop at least 5 people.
Yeah, and I think.
Let's give him 5 names in order.
Greg, Douglas.
Douglas, I don't want to drop Doug.
Well, somebody is going to have to go.
I know. So, I'd rather drop Khalil, to be honest.
Sure. I mean, I guess, yeah, you said in order. So I'm happy to do that. I would say Greg. I think I'm just going to give you 5 players. Now, in order, I can probably then change it. Greg, Douglas, Khalil. I would even say Tank. I would drop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And the 5th one, I think it has to be between. I would even probably drop. I would drop Josh down because I would rather see what Rome and Dontavion.
You can trade the guy who's the 3rd best receiver on your team.
Sure.
You'd rather drop Josh Downs than Wandale Robinson, bro?
Wandale Robinson is wide receiver 2 on that team. That's how I'm seeing it.
All right. Well, when you're watching this later, we're definitely going to disagree on these drop candidates then, because I am definitely dropping Wandale Robinson.
That's not even me being a Giants fan. That's just me telling you that, like, I'm looking at those positions, and I'm looking at those positions and what we saw last year, and Wandale produced more last year.
I mean, this is Wandale's 3rd year in the league. He hasn't ever been healthy or produced consistently.
Sure. Either way, however way you want to go about it, whoever you want to drop, it doesn't matter, because I think at the end of the day, you have phenomenal draft picks.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, I would definitely not be dropping Douglas. Let's do this. All right, this is going to make it easier because I'm just going to disagree with a lot there. Why don't you make your top 5? I'll make my top 5.
Those are my top 5. I said my top 5.
Okay, can you remind me?
Sure. Greg, Douglas, Khalil, Tank, and then Downs. I don't think
Greg, Douglas, Khalil, Tank, and you want to drop Downs, and you're gonna keep. Okay, all right.
Listen, you just said that this is a 10-man league. I mean, if you're what you just said earlier was like, well, this is a 10-man league. Some of these guys aren't gonna have any value. You're not gonna be able to get a second for Josh Downs in a 10-man league.
Guess what you'll get for Wan'Dale Robinson? You'll have to pay someone fab to trade for him. Like, I don't understand that at all.
I don't think you're going to be able to get anything. I mean, okay, maybe a 4th. I doubt someone's going to send a 3rd. And for someone like Josh Downs, unless
you could easily
they believe
a 3rd for Josh Downs. You could easily get a 3rd.
In a star 8 10-man league.
Yes.
Okay, that's fair.
I think I don't know, dude. We're hardcore going to disagree on this, but for me, I would rather drop Dulcich, Otten. I'd rather drop Wan'Dale. He'd be one of my top 3. I would say this:
if you can get that for Downs, I'm happy to do that. I'm always been like sell a Josh Downs in a 12-man league every single day, but I don't think you can technically do that here. So I'm just gonna go with the player that I personally like. But I would agree that if you can get a 3rd for Downs rather than dropping him, I would agree there with you.
Okay.
But if he's gonna come back and say, well, I need to choose between Downs and Wan'Dale because nobody wants to drop him, nobody wants him, I personally would just keep Wan'Dale because I think he's the wide receiver 2 on that team, and there's no one there to compete around him outside of clearly Malik Nabers, who is going to be the guy. So that's how I'm seeing that.
I don't see it the same. That's okay. So my top 5 is Greg Dulcich, Cade Otton, Wan'Dale Robinson. After that, it obviously becomes a little bit more difficult, but I'd be happy to drop a Tank Bigsby over a name like Josh Downs. I think you can get more for him than those other names. I'm definitely not dropping Pop Douglas because as much as I love Polk, I don't see a reason why it's not in the conversation for Pop Douglas to lead that team in receiving this year. So I would drop Dulcich, Otten, Robinson, Bigsby, and then the last name would probably be Herbert for me, or maybe Mims. It's very close between those two guys, but I would say Herbert/Mims. But no way I'm dropping Josh Downs. Personally, I don't know. But you got our 2 lists there, and you'll be able to make a decision based off that.
All right, and then he has these picks in a super flex, and he was asking, is it wide receiver or quarterback, or quarterback wide receiver? I think they kind of weigh the same, honestly. I think whoever falls to you at the 4, I think it might be Caleb potentially, because he says
I think you go Caleb Williams at the 101 regardless. For me, do you see that differently?
No, I'm just reading his context again because he's saying the guy at the 103 is going to take Malik Nabers. So I was saying you could play it to where if Malik Nabers fall to you, you can just take Caleb, if the other way around, if a quarterback falls to you at the 104 and Malik Nabers is going to go, that means, is it Downs that's going to fall? Or
so you're saying you can go Marvin Harrison Jr. here, and then you think Jaden Daniels is going to fall?
Yeah, is Jaden Daniels going to fall? That's what I'm just saying. Like, is that a possibility?
Yeah, if you knew that Jaden Daniels would be at the 104, I think you could go Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
Because
I know he was talking about Malik Nabers.
Daniels is available at the 104.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. At the 108, that is We've seen Bo Nix go there. We've seen Brian Thomas Jr. go there.
I think with his team, I'd be going wide receiver there.
Yeah, 100%. Just giving them the options of who are there at the 108.
I'd say Adunze in order. Adunze, Brian Thomas Jr., Ladd, and Xavier in order for me there. But I also think this team is like Brock Bowers eligible too. I don't know. This team could go Brock Bowers for sure.
But the 202, that's really the 112. Does Brock Bowers fall to him at the 112?
I actually think you prioritize Brock Bowers in this league. Smaller league, smaller lineup. I think that context is super important. A league this small, having a game-changing tight end is almost like a premium, even though there is no premium. In a start 8 super flex, start 7-1 quarterback, if you think about it that way, a guy like Brock Bowers, I think, should be prioritized a little bit higher. So I'd put Brock Bowers ahead of some of those names now that I'm thinking about it, because I just think it makes the difference for you. And then if you think about it, like you said, the 202 is technically
112.
The 112. So one of these names is going to be available anyway. Like, you're still going to get a Brian Thomas Jr., a Ladd, and Xavier. You'll get one of those names.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to play it.
You have the back-to-back picks here for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 picks. So then I wonder if you trade these picks out, the 203, 204, 205. Like, yeah, you can go out and get, like, for example, let's say Brian Thomas Jr., Ladd, and Xavier is out, and you only get one of those guys. I guess you can still get a Ricky. I'm not wanting to get a Michael Penix for this team. I mean, maybe you could, because you still are futuristic. I'm really big on Michael Penix futuristic. But I think with the right moves, you can compete. You got Brock Purdy. We think of Jaden Daniels coming in. You have Brees Hall. It's just the wide receivers might be a year or two out.
Yeah.
That's a tough one there.
I would, considering how small your league is,
I think I will be, trying to trade them out. Yeah, you're right, because of how small they are.
I would say I want to package the 203, the 204, the 205, and I want to try and get inside the top 7 here. Basically to target Rome Odunze.
Let's find out who has the 107 here. 2024.
It's Foreman 014. It's his only pick in the first round. And he's probably looking at quarterback there, although his team is relatively weak and shallow across the board. But
yeah,
I think he could be interested in a deal like that. But I don't know where Rome Odunze is going to go in your league. Like, if you think he's going top 6, try and get top 6.
Well, let's look at 103. He says 103 is going neighbors, which is team 1. He has 103 and 105. Are we surprised if he goes neighbors and then Rome at the 105?
No, that wouldn't surprise me.
That wouldn't surprise me either.
This guy's running the league, though, to be honest with you. He knows what he's doing. I feel like he's consolidating his roster.
No question. So getting Malik and then Rome, having Puka and Ayuk with DJ Moore, I mean, that just makes sense. I wouldn't be surprised in a league like this where we see one of these running backs go as high as the top 7 picks either. Because this guy's running back. I'm not saying he will go Brooks or Benson at the 105, but he has Monty and Zamir. But he also has a 201. So, which is the 110? So
I would say
where he can get Benson.
I want to package these picks for top 5 to 7 pick this year, or even like a projected top 3 to 5 pick in 2025. That's difficult to do, but like, identify the bad teams. For example, the Jackson 6. His team actually isn't that bad, but in Jigba's in Paris, his team isn't that bad. I mean, it's a 10-man league. That's what's tough about this. Hickory Sticks. Maybe Hickory Sticks Try and get his. He doesn't have his future first. Of course, Hickory Sticks doesn't know what he's doing.
But would you do those picks for Waddle?
Yeah, I like that deal as well.
Because I mean, what's that one? That's a 201. That's in the 12 man. Yeah, I think I would do Waddle there.
Yeah, definitely I would do Waddle. I mean, there's a whole huge group of names that I would do. I mean, even if you wanted to go out and get it tied in with one of these, I wouldn't hate that. But you're right, like Waddle for sure.
Ayuk, I guess that doesn't have picks here. Yeah, Ayuk.
I'm gonna just look at my rankings here so I can. So for sure, Waddle, Ayuk. We'll definitely do like names like Olave. I think he'll be a little bit more expensive, unfortunately, though. Drake London. In fact, I would send like even my 210 if you want it.
And you have to understand as you're watching this, people falling to that range that you have from the 203 to the 205 are generally valued as first round picks. You have Malik Neighbors going there, Michael Penix, Jonathan Brooks going around the area, Trey Benson, any other league that is not as deep as this, or draft that is not as deep as this. This is first round pick value, right? So, yeah, I'm willing to do that.
Yeah, DK is fine in that range. I just wouldn't pay that exact price. I mean, are you gonna like let's talk about this from if this was a 12-man for the picks, right? So would you send what is essentially the 201 and the 202 and the 203 for DK? Probably not, but if you can do it for like those
guys that are going as a top 7 pick regardless, in a super flex, not top 7 pick, but like, Waddle is valued as the 108 higher. Same thing with Ayuk, 108 higher, Olave higher, right?
Oh, yeah. I was just saying I'll probably take away one of those picks. I'm still down to do it. I just gotta take away one of those picks.
Yeah, I would be okay to do that.
I would add Nico Collins as well to this list.
That's what I was gonna say. I think we can go even higher tier, not higher tier, but a little bit more solidified players.
Already has Tank, doesn't he?
Higher than DK Metcalf, because of this is a start 8, and we always talk about it. Heavy hit is ideal in a start 8. Even if you add another flex option, which you kind of mentioned here, I think maybe solidifying that and then getting somebody like the Tank Dell as your 4th flex would be even better.
Yeah, he's already got Tank, but if you can get DK, T. Higgins, Devonta Smith for some of those names, I like that as well. You're pretty good at running back, but I wouldn't mind even packaging, let's say if you wanted to go a Jonathan Brooks here, you could do that, and then you could package the rest of these picks in some sort of fashion. But you could also send like this similar type of package for, what's a name that's like equivalent to DK at the running back spot. Let's see here. For like a Saquon Barkley, for example. A Saquon Barkley, I think, could make sense. A Kenneth Walker, a Josh Jacobs, Kyron Williams. You don't have Achane, so let's add him. Achane, Jacobs, Kyron. I think all those names are worth taking a shot on, considering your format, how small it is. You can put them at the flex. You need another RB. Let's be honest. You can't just rock with Rashawn Johnson as RB3. So whether that's Jonathan Brooks or whether that's a trade, consolidating all these names. The other idea is like packaging both thirds for a second in a future year. Right? I mean, because we're going to have to consolidate somewhere. I know it's a great class, but we only have so many roster spots in this league.
Let's see. Maybe we'll give him an option of just sticking and picking and see what that looks like as well. Which we'll definitely get to here in a second.
Yeah,
Which I'm assuming that would be scenario one.
Go ahead. Like after Jonathan Brooks, what would it be?
I mean, you can even John. So I would say this. 202. So yeah, hopefully that's Brian Thomas Jr. Then Jonathan Brooks. I would then say here can be a Trey Benson. I'm thinking even Michael Penix at the 205 if you wanted to get him.
At the 210, you're looking at names like.
That's kind of where I would go there.
Leggett.
210 is a 208.
You're looking at names like Pearsall. I think Coleman will be gone at this point, but we'll put him in there just in case.
Yeah, Adonai, Blake Corum will be there potentially. Jalen Polk is normally there at times.
So those are the kind of names you're looking at there if you're going to stick and pick with either of these options.
I think that's why I would want to be moving those picks, because then you draft two running backs while you have literally the one A 1B in dynasty rankings essentially. So maybe trying to package both of those guys or both of those picks and getting a wide receiver for your depth, and then hypothetically you will have let's just say you have Marvin Harrison Jr., Tank Dell, then you get Brian Thomas Jr. or Lam McConkey there. Those are your starting 4 wide receivers with the addition of Brock Bowers, which could be exciting.
Other thing I would say is if you want to secure Roma Dunze, I really want Brock Bowers there for this team at the 108. Yeah, I think we're trying to get inside the top 5 to 7 with these second round picks.
Let me have a look at it
for a Roma Dunze here.
If even Brock Bowers would potentially fall, out of curiosity. So here's the 108.
Let's see. Who has the 106?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find right now.
Mr. Pfizer?
Dallas Goedert, Dalton Schultz. Okay.
How does Mr. Pfizer have the 106?
Javonte Inferno has Mr. Pfizer's pick. And then the 107.
Yeah, there's a chance that guy actually goes Brock Bowers.
And the 107 has Njoku, Michael Mayer. So I think that's also a chance as well, potentially. So I think Brock Bowers may not even be there for him at the 108, which means that you'll just get more wide receivers then.
No, you'd be stuck with a quarterback. You'd be stuck with McCarthy and May. So I think you really want to try, regardless of Bowers.
You're right.
Or a Dunze.
McCarthy or May.
Trade up into the top, let's say 5 to 6. You got to do that to secure one of those names in this league. But yeah, I think let's paint best case scenario. In my world, it's the Marvin Harrison Jr. route if you know Daniels is going to be there.
Yeah.
And then let's say we end up with Brock Bowers. My ideal world is we actually trade these picks here for you talked about Waddle. I think that's a fine ad. And then at the 210, we go, let's just say it's Pearsall, for example. And then we trade both of those thirds for a second in a future year. I think that's the ideal world I'd like to paint. I agree. You've got a quarterback room that has Brock Purdy, Jaden Daniels, Will Levis. That feels pretty good.
That's the 102.
You've got a running back room of Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall. Maybe you add a Corum instead of a Pearsall, whatever you want to do there at that 210. You've got a wide receiver room that now has Waddle, Pearsall, Tank Dell, Christian Watson. That's a much better room than what you had. And then you've also got Brock Bowers now at the tight end position. So maybe
you could swindle these boys.
Maybe you need to go undercover, get some intel.
Yeah, you definitely need to, because I was just having a look. 102 has Trevor Lawrence, 2 with tags, but his wide receivers are Amon-Ra, Chris Olave, George Pickens, Christian Kirk. So maybe he's okay with that wide receiver room, or maybe he's not okay with his quarterback room, or maybe he's not okay with his wide receiver room, and he goes, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I think this draft can go honestly, anyway, we would always say go best player available. But a lot of leagues and a lot of people don't do that. Does the guy with the 102 really go Caleb Williams here?
Yeah, he does.
Does he feel comfortable with Tua or Trevor?
I think he does.
I know. I think he can as well. I'm just saying. I think a lot of leagues are different, where like some people don't draft for need. They don't draft for value. They draft for need. So
Sure, sure. No, I mean, I guess it is possible, but you just want to put yourself in the ranges to make those selections. Worst case scenario for this league, start 8 superflex, super small 10-man league, is you're at the 108 and you have a choice between May and McCarthy. It's no disrespect to May and McCarthy. We love them. 12-man start 10, different conversation entirely. But you need to use these draft picks in different ways. So
yeah, you
that
look
doesn't
at the
mean, by the
weakest
way,
link here.
that doesn't mean, by the way, that you like add Tank Dell into a deal to get up. That is not what we want to accomplish. Add Josh Downs, sure. Add Dobbs, add Dotson, add Shakir or Quentin Johnston. You know, one of these names, but that doesn't mean we add Tank Dell, our best wide receiver right now, to make that happen. Find a way around it. You know, last thing we'll do is we'll do pieces that are untouchable. Untouchables. Let's say right now for your team, I'd say Brock Purdy. You need to keep him. Definitely Bijan and Brees. We don't need to move these guys right now. We're building our team around them. Tank Dell. And outside of that, there's no other pieces that are unmovable.
Agreed. Completely agree.
What you could also try and do is like tier up. If there is someone in your league who's a Josh Downs guy or a Christian Watson guy, like, can you potentially, you know, like use that, like Watson or Downs plus any amount of second rounders for like a solidified wide receiver? You know, like those names that we've been talking about. But yeah, interesting league.
Good luck, man. Keep us updated. I'm really excited to see how this is going to pan out for you, because I think people start to get greedy, especially in a star 8. You know, a lot of people in a star 8 would value some of these other players higher than others, I would say. Would we do that? Absolutely not. But yeah, appreciate you, man.
Yeah, which players? So he knows what that means. Which players are you referring to?
Well, I'm thinking I just don't think it's an absolute lock for the Trevor Lawrence 2, a guy at the 102, to go Caleb. Now, I think he should, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's like Martin Harrison, then Malik, because he knows the guy at the 103 is going to go Malik.
Right.
And this is a start 4. He probably feels comfortable with his 2 quarterbacks, but he knows that like Mike Williams is not going to be the guy. Maybe he's not comfortable with Christian Kirk or George Pickens. All he's seeing as his starting lineup is Amon-Ra and Chris Olave. He probably is in love with Malik Neighbors, whatever the case may be, right? And his only pick in this draft is the 102, the 302. So I think I think what you should definitely do is get some intel, like, hey, who are you thinking about taking? You know, or trying to figure out, get a feel for the board. Because honestly, I mean, you can really get away with the people that you really want to, depending on how it goes. We've seen that in in one of our leagues. I think it was the golf league where Gluten freaking, I forgot who it was. He takes somebody and he goes, they kind of panic, and you see it happen.
Yeah, for sure.
So people tend to panic during the draft a little bit.
All right, well, that is all completed there. Bijan Mustardson, we appreciate you big time, brother. Hey, if we haven't set up your fantasy hotline, DM us over on Discord. Make sure you link your Discord over on the Flock Fantasy website as well. But a lot of options for you here. A lot of different ways that you can go. You gotta consolidate. Like, every transaction I'm doing in this league is multiple pieces for a piece. Multiple pieces for a piece. And it's not just like any piece. We want to tier up in this league. We don't want to tier down. We want to tier up as much as we can, as many high quality players. I'd rather have 4 high quality wide receivers than 8 that it could be good. That's the kind of league that you're working with there. But that is all the reviews that we're going to do tonight. Maybe you're watching this and you've enjoyed it. Maybe you're curious what we would say with your team. Well, very simple steps for you to get your team reviewed by us on a stream. I just put a direct link in the chat. All you got to do is become a Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. That is going to unlock a live team review, our rookie report, the calculator on the website, the My Teams feature, our rankings, our monthly Dynasty trade show, all the Discord channels. Of course, you're supporting Badaki and myself. You're keeping the lights on over here on the Dynasty Land channel as well. So if you want your team reviewed, full breakdown like that, consider becoming a Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. Direct link in the chat. If you're watching this later, it will be in the pinned comment.
We did get a super chat, by the way, before we get off. I don't know if you saw that.
We do have a super chat. I just wanted to quickly let people know that we are pumping out content on our Fantasyland football channel, which is our redraft channel. So if you want to subscribe, maybe you want to watch some more content. It's relevant to Dynasty players, even if you only play Dynasty. But to anyone out there who also plays redraft, or just wants to see more of our content, I put a direct link in the chat to our redraft channel. Go subscribe over there. I've got a video coming out tomorrow morning for you guys. First name I talk about is Michael Pittman and why I am not drafting him in redraft leagues this year at his current ADP. Way too high for me, and I'll tell you exactly why. Go subscribe over there. In season, maybe you need help with who to start, who to sit. We go through every matchup, every game. For example, this was week 10, and we talked about the Thursday night game. We talk about all the Sunday games. We go in deep detail of who you should start, who you should sit. Every single week.
And
waiver wire ads,
so much, man.
Stashes. So go subscribe over to the redraft channel. If you like this channel, I promise you'll like that one as well. Maybe you hate this channel and you watch it. There are people who hate watch. Maybe you hate watching us and you enjoy.
If you hate watching us, we appreciate your support. Thank you so much for hate watching us. You don't know what you do for our channel. You really don't.
Yeah. So either way, subscribe. All right. We did get a super chat from Brian.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you so much for the super chat. He says Caleb Williams, Neighbors, and Adunze, or Jaden Daniels, Martin Harrison Jr., and Malik Neighbors.
This is easy for me.
Yeah.
This is Jaden Daniels' side, easily.
Exactly. This is easy for me as well. I was going to say, let me ask you a question. Do you want wide receiver 1 and 2, or wide receiver 2 and 3, and quarterback 2? I think I would always go wide receiver 1 and 2, especially if I believe the quarterback 2 is really close. To quarterback 1.
I don't know where it was. I think we were doing a team review and I was showing my quarterback rankings and someone was like, how could you have Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams in the same tier? I've kind of felt that way for most of the offseason. I think Caleb became the clear number 1 because of this situation he stepped into. But this from December all the way until they said we're definitely taking Caleb. I had those guys in the same tier, and I don't have Marvin Harrison Jr. and Adunze in the same tier. So that's really the big difference maker for me. I would not be surprised. I'm not saying it's going to happen because Caleb could take the league by storm. He has every reason to. But I would not be surprised because of his rushing upside if Jaden Daniels ends up being the most valuable player this time next year in this rookie class because of what he can do on the ground. I really could see like an RG3 type of rookie season for him, what RG did back in 2012. So, yeah, I like the idea of the Marvin Neighbors package there.
Yeah, I agree. I'll be honest with you. I say pick your poison as well. I don't think there's a wrong answer. Personally, I think all 3 of these guys are going to be successful. I think there is more weight on Rome Odunze's situation because of Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. He's going to a wide receiver 2 role where a lot of people think where Martin Harris Jr., Malik Neighbors are easily going to wide receiver 1 roles, which kind of gives them the edge. But I think all these guys are going to be successful. Pick your poison here. But appreciate that super chat there, Brian. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we do appreciate all of you guys. Sorry we weren't able to answer every question today. But appreciate the super chats. Appreciate the likes. Hit the like button on the way out. We will be live tomorrow night on the Redraft channel.
That's right.
So go subscribe, Fantasyland Football. We'll see you then. And tomorrow night's a much better night to ask us questions. The Redraft channel at this point of the year is very slow. So if you want to hit us with questions, Redraft channel tomorrow is a great way to do that. I'll send the link one more time for you guys if you want to subscribe over there. But appreciate you. Love you. If you sent us a message in the Fantasy Hotline, we'll reply to it after the stream. All right. All love.
Love.